Celtic make 2 changes to the team, beaten in Denmark. Gary Caldwell returns to his customary centre-half role in place of Glenn Lovens, with Paul Hartley coming back into the midfield. Sean Maloney is recalled too, with Mark Wilson missing out, a move that sees Barry Robson revert to left back. Nakamura scored in the last 3 league games and Hartley in the last 2. Samaras and McDonald have netted 17 goals between them so far this season. Inverness victory at Kilmarnock last week was their 2nd successive away win, so no surprise that Craig Brewster has gone with the same 11 that won at Rugby Park. 2 of them are survivors of the 11 that famously won here in the Cup back in 2000. That's Ross Tokley and Richard Hastings, while a third, Barry Wilson, is on the bench. What's gone has gone for now. It's all about a 12th consecutive SPL win for Celtic and the further foundation to a 4th successive title. David Summers is the man in charge today. There's already been 1 red card in the SPL this weekend, and we haven't even got to 3 o'clock on Saturday yet. For Celtic, it's all about their ability to put the Danish defeat behind them. Back on home turf, looking for win number 12 in a row, which would take their winning streak domestically past 3 months. Paul Hartley. Only challenged in the midfield, and Black able to knock it away. Hinkle's touch guides it back for Caldwell. McDonald for Samaras. And Celtic win the free kick. Georgia Samaras didn't start 9 successive games because of a cartilage problem, but adding a new dimension since his recall to the forward line. Here he is again. Nakamura. Proctor's header away, only falling for Scott Brown. Hinkle. Well cleared by Proctor. And out of play. What Inverness are claiming should be a throw. And the referee's assistant agrees. Nakamura. Gordon Strachan in his programme notes has talked about the need for Celtic to consolidate after what happened in the week. He pointed out that they were, for the vast majority of the game in Aalborg, the better side. Possible to argue with that. That makes the result even more disappointing in many ways. Robson's lost out here to Imrie. Imrie's ball in, too close to Arda Boruc. He only had Gary Wood to aim at. By Essen, return by McManus. Wood had a great chance to give Kelly the lead the last time these two sides played in Inverness earlier this season. He did subsequently score, but might have been a different story had Inverness gone 1-0 up in that match. A 4-5-1 formation being adopted by Cali this afternoon. Hoping to provide the solidity, particularly in the early stages, that they didn't against Rangers. Remember, they were 5-0 down at half-time when these two, or when Inverness, last game to Glasgow, take on Rangers on the south side just a few weeks ago. Sean Maloney's offside here. Must have been quite a close call against Maloney. Well, they did get him. Monroe and Hastings pushing forward at the right time. Here's Gary Caldwell, who will play his 100th Celtic game against his old club Hibs next week. For Nakamura, who's been in such good goal-scoring form in the SPL, and he scored in the last meeting of these two sides as well. In possession, the vast majority of the opening minutes, as you would expect. Ball's coming off Hartley, Brown, and Tokley, who starts a 2-game ban next week. Russell Duncan. Cut out by Brown, it breaks back for Duncan. Threaded forward towards Ian Black's run, he's got Wood in the centre, and here's Cowie. Good challenge coming in to deny him the opportunity to shoot on goal. Really good covering by McManus. Good interplay between Black and Cowie. Cowie's touch just gave McManus the opportunity to nick it away for a corner. Monroe made the run in towards the near post, it was delivered deeper. Back in from Cowie. Nakamura able to guide it clear, but to a teammate. Black had taken up a good position in space on the left-hand side for Inverness. It's worked the other way. Hartley. Ball from Hinkle. That was a wonderful pass. I don't know that Essens quite kept that in. The referee's assistant on the near touchline thought he had done. It was well intercepted by Monroe. But what a pass from Hinkle. Samaras on the right-hand side of your picture would have been there with a simple opportunity. Had Monroe not just got the vital touch to it. Best pass of the game so far from Andres Hinkle. Really consolidated his position as first choice right back now. Caldwell, McDonald, Samaras, Nakamura's in space to his right, and there are three in the centre. Maloney's the deepest of them. Tokley climbed above it. It's going to be an Inverness ball. It's Tokley, always a player that you'd fancy to be able to beat Maloney in an aerial battle. And he did so again there, but there was a shove from Maloney. And that's why the referee gave the free kick. Nice touch by Maloney. Hinkle invited forward. He and Nakamura both making the same run there, but Celtic got the lines of communication right in the end. Clearance was from Hastings. And now Dougie Imrie. He does have support to his left-hand side, although it took a while to arrive. Duncan. It might break for Wood. Caldwell made sure that it didn't. Tokley. Now Proctor. It's been a confident start from the visitors. Perhaps sense that Celtic are there to be taken after the disappointments of their trip to Denmark, but it has to be said, Celtic's record post-European matches is absolutely magnificent. Robson's challenge was a fair one as he went shoulder to shoulder with Imrie. Robson, who for a while must have thought that he got the winner in Denmark, and a famous one at that. Didn't turn out that way. There's a suspicion about offside against McDonald as the ball was originally played forward, but Inverness have a free kick a little bit further upfield after a foul by Samaras. Craig Bruce has now had more games in charge of Inverness in this spell than he did in the first. He's won more as well. Been taken over again in August last year. Has beaten Celtic in that time. Christmas time last year, Celtic 2 up in the Caledonian Stadium, only to lose 3-2 in a thrilling game, which David Proctor was sent off, but Inverness held on for the last 20 minutes. Totally. Imrie. Celtic playing the offside. Caldwell was furious the flag didn't come up. Here's Gary Wood. Black in support. Easily prodded clear by McManus. Chance goes begging for Inverness. Cali. Here's Nakamura. Lovely ball forward. Samaras onside. Essen saw the danger early. Possibly wanted a little bit too much time before getting it away. That was a great run forward from Samaras, and the delivery to him from the right flank so far has been magnificent. Magnificently timed run. Just a little bit too heavy, the pass forward. Essen, who has been first choice since Mike Fraser led him 5 at Rangers. Essen, who was signed after his release from Hereford United in the summer. He starts his 6th consecutive game today. Here's Barry Robson. Maloney. Now Caldwell. Nakamura. Hartley given a little bit of space, and he's shown in the last few weeks that from that kind of position he can be absolutely lethal. Well, he just opened up in front of Paul Hartley. He has scored in his last 2 league games, and if that had been creeping into the top left-hand corner, there would have been nothing that Essen could have done about it. Away by Caldwell. Duncan winning the free kick. Pushed by Gary Caldwell. Now Duncan from distance. Venomous strike. Caldwell didn't take any chances. Got himself into the line of fire. Black. McManus with a header clear. Back from Totally. Imrie. Robson scrapping with him. That's an intriguing battle between those two. In the end, it's Maloney that got the important touch to put it over the line. Well, he's fielding at left back on a number of occasions, and I think it's significant that he's given that berth today and not Lee Naylor, who's on the bench. Barry Robson's versatility certainly has been a hallmark of his career. He's, of course, a former Inverness player, more than 150 games for Cali at the start of his career. Nakamura. Brown, and And McDonald is offside. He doesn't think he was. But the flag did come up quickly against him. Just have a look as the ball is played forward. Did Hastings get forward in time? I think the answer is no. I think Scott McDonald is really unlucky there. He was looking across the line, started by going sideways. And I think he timed his run to perfection. It's simmering nicely at 0-0. You sense that it won't be goalless for too much longer. Monroe climbing above McDonald. Duncan guiding it back for Tokley. Hinkle. McDonald knew he was offside that time, made no attempt to go for the ball. Duncan in strongly against Scott Brown. Brown. Maloney. Robson made the run. Goes a step from McDonald. Scott Brown. Hinkle. Good patient build-up play this from Celtic. In the end it was half cut out by Monroe. McDonald leaves it for Brown. In from Brown towards Samaras, couldn't quite jump at the right time. And Tokley's touch concedes the corner. There must have been 25 passes in this Celtic move. In the end, when it did come in from Brown, just too high for Georgios Samaras. Totally grateful that it wasn't off his arm, it was close. Corner in from Hartley. By Duncan. Huge fillip for Celtic, of course, with the news half an hour before kick-off that Rangers had been beaten at Tynecastle. 7-point advantage. It's an immense one to have after 16 games. Just makes you wonder what would have happened if Rangers had lost here instead of winning. Celtic could have been on the verge of a 13-point advantage, which would have seemed like an impregnable lead. Celtic proved last season titles aren't won until May. Here's Scott Brown. Imrie. Tokley. That's a nice ball by Ross Tokley and plenty of space for Don Cowie. He's got two in the centre. Couldn't find either of them. Imrie had made a late run. I think he was the target. Maloney's able to bring it away. Samaras again making the run forward. He just run down a different channel from that Maloney was anticipating. Hastings, now Black, and Scott Brown bringing down Black. Brown's challenge on Black deemed off colour by the referee. 5 forward for Inverness as Hastings launches it inside the penalty area. Easy header by Caldwell. Black's touch gave Scott Brown the opportunity to clear. Donald's persistence wins the throw. 31 goals for Scott McDonald in all competitions last season, including 25 in the SPL. Barren time of it, relatively speaking, but has really discovered that goal touch over the last few weeks. Still scored better than one every other game in his Celtic career. Maloney, Brown, Samaras. Nakamura have made a good early run. Here's Wood, playing as the lone striker in front of the midfield 5, which Duncan and Viggers are components. Here's Black, a little bit of space for him. And the deflection was a kind one, it took the pace off it for Arda Boric. Black, Wood. From Hastings, but Imrie's offside. Hartley. Hinkle. Samaras, time to turn for him in the midfield. Couldn't quite find Scott Brown. Nakamura's in there battling. Viggers and Duncan between them can win it back for Inverness now. Russell Duncan to Imrie, now Totally. Dougie Imrie, well beaten by his opposite number 11 Paul Hartley. The referee saw a foul against the Celtic man, played the advantage. Nakamura, Samaras. Hinkle's done brilliantly, he's got past Black. Great ball inside the area as well. Difficult chance for McDonald. When Hinkle gets the second opportunity, he can't get hold of it. Great marauding full-back play by Andreas Hinkle. Got away from Black. Great ball in. The cross hit McDonald's trailing leg, but when it came back for Andreas Hinkle, couldn't get enough of his right foot around it to score what would have been just his second Celtic goal. But great play. Kind of form which saw him transferred to Sevilla for big money a few years ago. Robson. Maloney. In from Robson, but nobody had made a run towards the far post. And a few signs of frustration already from some of the Celtic players. Things just aren't quite going their way inside the final third. Totally. Hartley's touch, rescued by Brown, the face of Wood. Maloney gets Samaras in behind Tokely, and that's a Celtic throw. He's got 11 goals in his last 13 games, the Greek. Only one in his last 4. Samaras. Hartley was arriving. Well read by Hastings, but Brown will get to the loose ball first. Hinkle. Maloney. Samaras. Did get the shot in eventually, but it lacked the power. It's never likely to trouble Ryan Essen. Onto his right foot, but it was a low tame effort in the end. Foul by Hartley off the ball. Caught Ian Black after it had gone. His momentum just taking him into the Inverness midfielder. Here's Cowie. Wood got away from Hinkle. Hartley's back. As always, the epitome of the good defensive midfielder. Cover in front of the two centre-halves. Donald thought that was a Celtic throw. Strachan looks mystified. Duncan just kept Gary Caldwell honest there. Lawrence's long ball forward. Figures finding Tokely. Strong defending again by Robson, getting the better of Imrie, but given away. Tokely now for Dougie Imrie. Didn't get him offside. Imrie with time to pick out the cross. Nakamura eventually able to guide it clear to safety in the form of Maloney. McDonald with a nice turn. Nakamura. Hinkle's got the pace to get round the back of Hastings. Was he shoved? The referee says that that's a goal kick. He's quick, Hinkle, but it was a legitimate challenge. Here's Nakamura. Tricky skills from Nakamura. It's Nakamura again, good ball over the top for Maloney, he's onside and scores! Sean Maloney gives Celtic the lead. Some incisive play inside the final third, finally counts for Celtic. Well converted by Maloney, but well executed by Nakamura. Very well timed run by Maloney, got in behind the two centre halves, and the finish was exquisite. Across the face of Ryan Essen and into the far corner. Sean Maloney's fourth goal since returning to Celtic. And that will ease a little bit of the palpable tension around Celtic Park. Black. In from Cowie. Imrie hooked it back in towards Wood. Well cleared by McManus. Maloney's goal, the 20th that Celtic have scored in 7.5 games here this season in the SPL. Maloney's effort beaten away by Essen. Here's McDonald taking on Tokley. Vital nick, I think, from Proctor just to get it away from Samaras. Here's Hinkle. Nakamura. Brown. Away by Imrie, but only as far as Nakamura again. Couldn't quite get back up and maintain possession. And Inverness have a chance to break. Duncan. That's too long for Wood. Nakamura has been getting the goals recently, but he certainly did well to provide the pass there for Maloney. Sense of that goal had been coming to a certain extent. A number of times that Celtic just couldn't quite thread the ball through behind the two centre halves, but we're getting close. Nakamura fouled there by Hastings. Nakamura's in swinging delivery towards 6 targets. Essen came out, got a decent punch to it into a safe part of the penalty area. This is Scott Brown. Robson. In from Robson. Only found Monroe. Cowie able to help it further away. Nice save by Nakamura. Samaras was expecting miracles for Nakamura to be able to adjust his run that quickly. Well, he's been really involved in the last 5-10 minutes. Shunsuke Nakamura. Wonderful play to set up the goal. Magnificent vision again with the ball bent over the top for Sean Maloney. Only quick to pay tribute to Shunsuke Nakamura. Here's McDonald. Nakamura. Oh, ill-timed stumble. That's given Ian Black some cheap possession. Cowie. Imrie. Hastings. Ian Viggers. Proctor for Tokley. Cowie. Imrie. Certainly Celtic haven't had the monopoly on being bright going forward. Inverness have strung some good moves together as well, but no end product, nothing to really test out of Boric so far. And that's a Celtic ball. Oshinsky Nakamura, as always, has his countrymen here in support. One of those gentlemen, I can assure you, wearing a kimono. It's not really the day for it in the East End of Glasgow. Wisely covered up. Brown. Tokley. Figures. Cowie's made his way forward. Good ball in towards Gary Wood, but he was very effectively marshalled by Hinkle. And Nakamura. Robson let it run. Maloney. Hinkle. Hartley. Donald works it wide for Hinkle. Towards Samaras, nice take from him. Donald just dwelled in possession. Wood. Wide from Cowie for Imrie. Tokley, he's already picked up 8 yellow cards this season, Ross Tokley. As a result, he's going to miss 2 games, starting with the match at home to Dundee United next weekend. Samaras capitalised on a poor touch from Viggers. Robson. Brown works it wide for Hinkle. Caldwell. McDonald, lovely touch from him for Maloney. He's unlucky that nothing really came of it, and Viggers has been able to find Duncan. He's got Imrie to his right, and he's played him in here. He's gone for goal, Dougie Imrie, and missed the opportunity. Their clearest counter-attack so far. Well started by Viggers. Well held up by Duncan. Not so well finished by Imrie. Saw Boric off his line. The top left-hand corner was inviting. He missed it by some distance, and Gordon Strachan not happy. But how quick Inverness were allowed to break there by his Celtic midfield. Maloney. Nice turn by Hartley. Nakamura. Hinkle. Hartley. Nakamura. Scott McDonald judged to have been backing in. A good view of it, David Summers. It's just actually pulling the shirt of David Proctor as he tried to receive the ball. Samaras, handball. His right hand up here, Georgios Samaras. Duncan turning it back, off Hinkle, it's out of play for a corner. Oh, missed by Boric, under pressure from Proctor. He felt he was unprotected from the referee and is sprinting after David Summers to try and make his point. He's well outside his penalty area. He might have had a case. It was Proctor that was jumping across him. The right arm certainly stopped Boric making a good fist at catching it. It would have been a controversial equaliser had Inverness been able to put that away. Referee Summers saw nothing wrong with it. Ball given away by Viggers and McDonald. Well rescued by the man who made the initial error. Nicely brought down by Hartley. Brown. Barry Robson. Nakamura. Brown. Robson has made his way forward. Cut out there by Tokley. Wide by Robson, given away by Hinkle. He's not got too much in the way of support, Gary Wood. Cowie, Duncan. Celtic with everybody back behind the ball now. Hastings. Hartley sent her out of play for a throw. Hastings. Manus backpedaling on the end of it. Falls for Duncan. And Brown stumbling, allowing him to make his way through here. Imrie's onside. Pulled back for Ian Black. And nobody would take responsibility. Well, the shot was on for a couple of the Inverness players. Duncan sensibly worked it wide to Imrie. He was onside. Pulled back here for Ian Black. And in clipping into the far post, he missed his target by some distance. First half in which Celtic have had the majority of possession, and Sean Maloney has given them a tangible half-time advantage. Well found by Shunsuke Nakamura to give Celtic the lead just before the half-hour mark. It was a tactic that Celtic had employed on a number of occasions to get the ball back in behind the centre halves. When Nakamura found Maloney, he found the net for his 4th goal of the season, and although Inverness have had a few moments since, Celtic have the advantage at half-time. They lead Inverness by a goal to 0.
Tonight from the Barclays Premier League, Rafa's Reds can't afford another slip-up at home as West Ham look for their first back-to-back wins of the season. Liverpool-West Ham, tonight from 7, Setanta Sports 1.
Father Christmas is spending Christmas in Disneyland Paris. Christmas starts early this year from November the 8th. So join us. And now get 1 extra day and night free. Plus, kids under 7 stay and play free. Call now on 08448 003 003.
Second half underway with Celtic leading, courtesy of Sean Maloney's 29th minute goal. Might be a little bit frustrated that they haven't tested Ryan Essen more than they did, although Boric has hardly had a save to make at the other end. Inverness too have got themselves into some good positions. Imrie with a deft little flick which Wood couldn't pick up. This is Scott Brown, and foul by Ian Black. Referee Summers being a little bit pedantic. It's a clear foul. Celtic in possession. When the free kick was taken, the referee asked for it to be retaken because the ball was moving, which drew an irate look from Paul Hartley. Here's McDonald. Nakamura. Hartley for Robson. Maloney. Hastings. Not quite the touch that Gary Wood was looking for. He did score the winner at Kilmarnock last weekend. Also scored at home to Celtic when the two sides met in October. Here's Robson. Scott Brown just seemed to stretch awkwardly for a ball from Maloney a few seconds ago. He's okay at the moment. Here's Maloney. Brown. Nakamura. Samaras for Gary Caldwell, who's got a bit of room with which to work. Certainly a player who's got the confidence to bring it forward. Hinkle. Cowie. Getting straight to Robson. Samaras. Andreas Hinkle. It's away by Monroe. Referee playing the advantage after the clear handball by Wood. Hartley. Hinkle, Paul Hartley, back for Scott Brown. Again, the build-up is very patient from Celtic. Robson. A few murmurs of discontent from the crowd as it fell straight for Tokley. Diggers has threaded it through, and Cowie, the flag was really late. Well, was he offside or not? As it's played through, he's unlucky. Don Cowie, it was touch and go. The flag stayed down, and only then did it come up. Controversial decision, and it was close, but possibly it was incorrect. Cancels out one that was given against Scott McDonald in the first half. Here's Maloney. Nakamura wanted it played early. It might yet break for Brown. Trying to flick it back with Samaras in close attendance. Well, Nakamura set up Maloney for the goal, and he almost managed to repay the favour there. Hinkle playing it in here towards McDonald, who is offside. That's a good run and break by Sean Maloney. Well found by McDonald. He had the pace to get past Tokley. Played it in behind Nakamura. Brown couldn't make anything of it. Scott McDonald, as you can see, was offside. His head further forward than Proctor. New flag up against him. Robson. Back to him from Maloney. A little bit heavy for Tokley. Viggers for Imrie. Well won back by Sean Maloney, but played forward again by Tokley and helped round the corner by Wood. Duncan did well to keep it in play. No foul on McManus. This is Imrie. Trying to get himself into a shooting position, and Hartley made sure that he couldn't. And just for a moment, Inverness had an embarrassment of riches in space on the right-hand side after McManus was taken out of the picture, but they couldn't make the most of the chance. Samaras. Nakamura. Robson. From Maloney for Samaras to McDonald from very close quarters. Now Nakamura. Inverness with 10 behind the ball, and Celtic struggling to break them down at the moment. Hinkle. Samaras trying to spin and get the shot in. In the end, it was Cowie that came back. Here's a Celtic corner, and it needed Dom Cowie's intervention. Well, they were working on this in the warm-up. Ball in defeat, trying to hit a shot on the turn. Samaras just couldn't get the shot in. Cowie and Proctor clearing. After Cowie's good interception, Proctor has conceded the corner here. Celtic's first of the second half. Shunsuke Nakamura's delivery. It's away by Tokley. Hinkle pressurised by Imrie. Unfair pressure according to the referee, but again he plays a good advantage with Nakamura for Scott McDonald. His chest strap a little bit too heavy to get it onto his right foot. He's got another opportunity here after Barry Robson's pass, and he's won a corner. Back to him from Barry Robson here. McDonald getting it onto his right foot, but unable to get his 7th of the season. It's well defended there by Imrie. Figures with a nice turn. Cowie had made a run into an offside position. Imrie's run from inside his own half, and the flag rightly stayed down against him, but he couldn't get there in time. Since Inverness were beaten at Rangers, they've won at Hibs and Kilmarnock, on both occasions by 2-1. Their home form's been disappointing though. Only 1 point from their last 2 games at home, and in fact 4 of their 5 wins on the road this season have been away from home. Just the 1 home win, 4 away wins coming outside Inverness. The worry Craig Bruce has got is defensive one in many ways. Although they've been solid today, they still haven't kept a clean sheet since the opening day of the season when they won at Aberdeen. Black. It's been a good performance from them here though, in the context of many from visiting teams here at Celtic Park this season. Here's Black. Boric got his frame behind it to safely gather. Ian Black, who scored the winner at Hibs earlier this season. Still just the 6 senior goals in his career. I've heard either side of Arda Boric there. And Scott Brown was hurt. Play goes on around him with Cowie. Now Viggers. Given away to Robson. Black's won it back, just got in the way, stepped across the line of Barry Robson. Space for Imrie. Trying to take it in. Round the back of McManus, but couldn't do so. He's got a knock on the foot there, Brown. Still limping. It's his second injury sustained in the second half so far. Just got caught there by Imrie. See him hobbling away. And this is Inverness' first corner of the second half. Delivered deep from Imrie. And the header was of little consequence, a lack of communication between Proctor and Brown. Gordon Strachan and Neil Lennon in discussion. Gary Pendry there as well. Three wise men trying to decide the best way forward. Celtic's lead doesn't look fragile, nor though do they often look like extending it. Brown. Away by Monroe. Turned by Caldwell. Here's Scott Brown. Monroe's header falling to him. Now Robson. Brown. Hinkle. Nakamura. Celtic have struggled to make too much of an impact in breaking down the mass ranks of Inverness players behind the ball. Samaras with the header for Brown. Cleared by Hastings. Now Maloney. Barry Robson in support for him. And the offside flag's up against the retreating McDonald. Robson beating Wood in the air. Black threw himself into the challenge against Hardley. Now Wood trying to set it up for Cowie. And he's emerged somehow with possession, Gary Wood. Oh, he didn't keep it for long. Robson with the safe ball upfield for McDonald, and it's a Celtic throw. Goal that Sean Maloney scored in the first half was Celtic's 40th in the league already this season, which is some statistic by the end of November. Typical combative challenge from Scott Brown. Caldwell. Hartley. McManus for McDonald. Samaras behind Maloney. Sums up some of Celtic's attacking play in this second half. Just hasn't quite been at its most cohesive. Now Inverness making their first change. Gary Wood coming off, and it's Andy Barrowman. There's someone signing from Ross County who's coming on. That's a straight swap up front. And Celtic are making a double change. Firstly, Georgia Samaras is coming off to be replaced by Killian Sheridan. And the other change sees Barry Robson withdrawn for Lee Naylor, who's coming on at left back. So a double change made by Celtic. They've won a free kick. Emery involved with Maloney and coming off the worst of the two, even though it was his foul. He's still not right, Dougie Emery. He's hurt his right knee. Maloney, here's Lee Naylor. Good first touch of the game from him. Drilled in towards McDonald. Well, Lee Naylor hasn't started any of the last 10 games now for Celtic, and kept out of the side in his customary left-back position by Barry Robson today. Naylor on for half an hour to make an impression. Sheridan. Now Maloney. Cross comes Totally. He's conceded the throw. Sheridan amongst the targets. McDonald. Hartley for Nakamura. Now Brown. Hinkle's outside him. Nakamura. Cleverly played back for Hartley. Never needs a second invitation. Well, it's the second time today that he's picked up the ball 25 yards out, Paul Hartley, but unable to replicate the quality finish that he showed here against Motherwell and at Hamilton from that kind of distance. Hartley into the 90s in terms of goals in his career, but he plays in a much more withdrawn role now than he used to, of course. Well defended by David Proctor. Caldwell. McManus. Sheridan making life difficult for Monroe. And he's won the throw as well. Killian Sheridan, who scored 4 goals in his last 6 SPL games, which is a great return for a striker, particularly at the start of his career. Long throw from Naylor. And Totally was pushed by Sheridan. And the young Irishman will certainly give Ross Totally and any of the other defenders a physical battle. But he was a little bit too over-physical that time for the referee. Totally on the arm. Nakamura. Hartley for Maloney. And still, he's done really well to poke it through past figures. Sheridan's forced wider than he wanted to go. Maloney made a good run, but not such a good pass. Imrie able to bring it away. He almost turned into a blind alley there. Here's Totally. Duncan. Cowie. Naylor swinging it forward. McDonald is offside. Doesn't count if it goes in. Well, that time the flag was up early, but it was a wonderful pass from Lee Naylor. Keep your eye on McDonald, left-hand side of your picture. And again, the flag has gone up incorrectly against Scott McDonald. Well, McDonald wrongly flagged off in each half in really good positions, but what a pass that was. Perfect execution from Lee Naylor. The weight on it was exquisite. Brown dallying in possession. Duncan's won it back. Cowie. Black. In deep from Imrie. Duncan. Hastings. Away by Brown. Duncan's header, which came after a quick adjustment, gave his teammate Richard Hastings very little chance. Here's Paul Hartley. And still Paul Hartley. And still he goes. Again, he can't hit the target. No, it's not been his day in front of goal, but that was a fantastic run forward, which he started himself. Good interchange of passes, and having got it onto his favoured right foot, he still couldn't force Ryan Essen into a save. Foul by Tokely. Hartley for Maloney. Drag back was read by Tokely. Imrie's challenge on Maloney goes unpunished. Here's Monroe. Black. Imrie made a great run to find some space. He was well found as well. Hastings. This is Cowie. 4 ahead of Ian Black. Figures playing the sensible option out towards Hastings. Barrowman goes up for it. 2 Celtic players with him. Still don't think he's had a touch of the ball yet, Andy Barrowman, since coming on. Here's Tokely. Back in towards Barrowman again. Hastings. Celtic struggling, hanged in inside their own penalty area, but now we can get it back to Arda Boric. Here's Maloney. Here's Hinkle. Hartley for Brown. Sheridan waiting for some movement from McDonald. Away by Proctor, only as far as Hartley's got Nakamura in space, and he's seen him. Nashunski Nakamura. Sheridan, he was the target, but it's bypassed the pair of them. Well, should it have been a penalty claim? David Summers, the referee. This was the ball that was in towards Andy Barrowman here from Richard Hastings. 2 Celtic players with him. A suspicion possibly of a little bit of contact from Naylor before Barrowman jumped. I think it would have been a very harsh penalty. I've sporadically seen them given. Barrowman has still only scored the 1 goal from open play so far this season, that in the opening day win at Aberdeen. Imrie. Here's Black. Black foul. All the time it's still 1-0. Inverness Cali will fancy their chances of maybe a set piece, getting them back on level terms. They're preparing to bring Adam Rooney on, incidentally, and in fact that change is going to be taken before the set piece. Ian Viggers comes off.
27 is Viggers, playing on is number 9 Rooney.
And Adam Rooney on to replace him. Rooney, who has scored 3 goals this season, but all of them at home. In it comes from Cowie. Header away, volleyed back in by Monroe. Duncan back for Hastings. All his teammates bar the goalkeeper in Celtic territory. 4 towards Rooney. away by Lee Naylor, only as far as Imrie. McManus read the intentions of the ball that was for Barrowman. He was then in strongly, but with 2 feet, and he's been penalised. McManus is going to be called over by the referee. He was there to be one, but he only with 2 feet. And McManus being called over by David Summers, possibly for something that was said after the initial dialogue between the pair of them. In it comes from Cowie. Boric through a crowd of players. He took one of his own men out with him. Play goes on. Celtic fans whistling so that the ball can be put out of play, so that the stricken defender can receive treatment. And Boric too is also in a little bit of pain. It's Killian Sheridan who was upended by his goalkeeper. Had the full weight of Arda Boric going through him here. Boric was going to take the ball and everything in his path. The problem was it was one of his teammates that ended up getting a knock around the back of the head. Boric hurt as well. Well, you couldn't accuse Celtic of being under the cosh, far from it, but nevertheless, at 1-0, it is a wee bit nervy. Craig Brewster will be delighted with everything except for the scoreline. His side have acquitted themselves really well, and he will believe possibly that there could yet be a way back. Since Inverness won 3-1 here in the Cup against John Barnes, Celtic back in February 2000, one of the real low spots of Celtic's history, they've lost every time that they have played here. Is today going to be different? Killian Sheridan back on. Black. Hartley was in strongly. And so too Nakamura. Run back by Monroe. Black for Cowie. Here's Proctor. Just over 15 minutes remaining. Hinkle. McDonald's offside. I get the impression that he's treating every raise of the flag with a certain amount of scepticism now. Scott McDonald, having seemingly twice been the victim of wrong offside calls against him, but that one was right. Nakamura catching Duncan. Nakamura then running as far away from the referee as he thought he could get away with. This game's not won yet. 7-point lead is what Celtic would have if they can hold on. Will it be 7 points? Will it be 5? Kelly giving a good account of themselves again. They have won more than half their away games so far this season. Nakamura. Hinkle taking on Imrie. Well defended by Hastings. Nakamura for Hinkle. Sheridan couldn't get there. Totally touch wasn't the best, but it took a fortunate ricochet off him. Rooney had made the early run. Blacks tried to find him. McManus always favourite to get there first. And he has had to concede the throw. Totally. Given away. Nakamura. Sheridan making ground to his left-hand side. And he's got Scott McDonald in the centre at the far post, peeling off into a bit of space. Work back for Nakamura instead. Brown's also joined the attack now. Nakamura forced inside by Tokley. Hartley works it wide for Hinkle. McDonald holding it up. Nakamura ricochets around to Hartley. Brown for Lee Naylor. Okay. Well, Gordon Strachan's men have a habit of scoring late goals rather than conceding them. Prowess in the last 5 minutes of games has become legendary since Strachan took over. At the moment today, all about keeping it tight in the closing stages rather than having to push forward and turn 1 point into 3, and make sure they don't inadvertently turn 3 into 1. Celtic at Hibs next week. Then after the dead rubber in the Champions League against Villarreal, it will be Hearts who come here. The second time in as many minutes, Naylor's hopeful ball forward has been in vain. He's given away a free kick. Launched long by Cowie towards Tokley, and I think it came off the top of his head. Referee, though, has said it came off the Celtic player. Well, to my mind, Inverness are a bit fortunate here, as Cowie played it in. Corner has been given. Six forward as the out-swinging corner comes towards Tokley, headed back by Monroe. And the referee saw a push, and it is a Celtic free kick. Did it come off Tokley's head? I think that is pretty conclusive. Justice was done when nothing happened from the resulting corner. Nakamura. Imrie. Monroe for Hastings. Rooney. Caldwell back for Arda Boric. Four from Monroe, and another awkward touch from Lee Naylor. In deep from Tokley. Away by Caldwell. Imrie. One back by Scott Brown. McDonald. Nakamura. And McDonald's onside if he can get there. And Ryan Essen made sure that he couldn't. It was really good goalkeeping from a man who's had little to do. Here's Black. Nakamura. Naylor. Hastings. Sheridan. Forward from Naylor. Now Black. Well, Rooney and Barrowman haven't had too many opportunities since coming on. Strachan will be very relieved when the final whistle goes. At the moment, Celtic still in line for 12 out of 12 and for a 7-point lead at the top of the SPL. McDonald. Imrie. Barrowman. Inverness have one change left at their disposal, and Barry Wilson will be coming on in a moment as Tokely sends it high inside the area, and Boroch is able to get it away from the two Inverness strikers. Commanding goalkeeping again from Marta Boroch. Brown. Sheridan flagged offside. Well, he'd certainly been running sideways. The assistant referee, though, thought that he was just too far forward.
Substitution for Inverness coming off as number 8.
He didn't quite get himself back on Killian Sheridan. So the final change is made, and on comes Barry Wilson, who scored in that famous cup win here back in 2000. Almost exclusively used as a substitute these days. He replaces Ian Black. Time not on Inverness' side here. Tokely. Flag up against Barrowman. Celtic still have one change left at their disposal as well. Koki Mizuno is getting ready to be introduced for another late cameo. Sheridan. Donald back for Maloney. Can Celtic make the game safe? Nakamura. Maloney. Hinkle. McDonald. Hasn't been the Celtic forwards' day in front of goal. Top right-hand corner was invited, but couldn't hit it. Tokely. Well, the boot was raised high. He's got away with it. Fall from Imrie, but away by Caldwell. Hastings finding it too difficult to control. Sheridan. Nakamura's to his right in a lot of space. Still Sheridan goes, and the deflection off Proctor. Essen can't keep it in. It is a corner. I think Killian Sheridan was oblivious to the presence of Nakamura outside him. He may have used him as the decoy, and he has got a corner out of it. Nakamura taking it short for Brown. Maloney. Hartley. Back for Sean Maloney.
Substitution for Celtic player office 26, Killian Sheridan. Player coming on 29.
Celtic are making a change, and Killian Sheridan, who hasn't long been on, has been replaced by Koki Mizuno. I don't often see substitutes being substituted, but let alone when they've been on a short amount of time as Killian Sheridan has. It is Mizuno who's come on to replace him, his third substitute appearance.
Has added on 4 additional minutes.
4 minutes to be added on for Mizuno to make an impression in front of his watching countrymen. Mizuno and Nakamura, half of a Celtic midfield for the closing stages. And Arda Boroc is going to get a yellow card here for time wasting. Third caution of the season for Arda Boroc. Well, he got a controversial yellow card last week in Celtic's win against St Mirren. Gordon Strachan and Neil Lennon just having a few words with the fourth official about that yellow card. And that the first caution of the game. Cowie. Here's Mizuno. Nakamura. Brown. Caldwell. Nakamura. Proctor back for Essen. Mizuno putting him under pressure and almost getting there. Ball's come back off totally. Mizuno able to pick it up. Maloney. Here's Brown. Celtic just happy to keep possession. Barrowman. And off Imrie, out of play for a Celtic throw. Celtic able to just run the clock down and kill the game here. It will be a question of, never mind the quality, feel the width really, as far as Gordon Strachan and the Celtic coaching staff are concerned. A day in which the result was always going to be more important than the performance. And the result is very nearly in the bag. Nakamura. Handball by Maloney. One last chance perhaps. Inverness getting it forward. Barrowman trying to beat McManus in the air. It is victory for Celtic. 12 in a row. A fantastic dozen for Gordon Strachan and his men. Certainly not the most convincing performance within that run of 12 victories, but Sean Maloney's goal just before the half-hour mark was enough to give them the win against a very spirited Inverness side. Sean Maloney, well found by Shunsuke Nakamura, to turn the ball across the face of Ryan Essendon in. Inverness may feel that they deserved a little bit more, but at the end of a hugely disappointing week for Celtic, it's 12 league wins in a row, and it's a 7-point lead at the top of the SPL table. That a very significant statistic. It's finished Celtic 1, Inverness Caledonia Thistle 0.
This weekend on Setanta Sports.
Rooney doesn't get you, Ronaldo will.
Fergie's men come face to face with Roy Keane's Sunderland.
Top pass.
And West Ham take on the rejuvenated Spurs.
And that is very much that.
There's live football from France, Germany and Holland. And can Hibs stop Celtic in the SPL? The massive prize purse will have golf's big names in a spin in South Africa. That's all live at your place this weekend on Setanta Sports.
I am my 4 best mates, Nicole, Janice, Eva and Cassie, and I am definitely all the music we're into. I am Buster Ryan, and the 4 hours volunteer work I'm doing with Orange Rock Corps to earn my ticket to see him play. I am Naomi J. Lewis. I am who I am because of everyone.
Need a taxi? Dial 429-7070, then just push 1. Your taxi's on its way. Our automated booking system is hassle-free. Once you've registered, one button orders your taxi. Then a couple of rings let you know that your taxi will arrive in 2 minutes. It's that simple. To register with Glasgow Taxi's automated system, phone 429-7070 for the easiest way to get a cab.
Looking to save money on your car insurance?
Visit the experts, gocompare.com.
Just tell them everything your policy has to have. They'll compare the best prices from loads of insurance companies and show you which quotes come with everything you've asked for using their special 5-star rating.
So you can see just what you're getting for your money. Simple.
So for the right car insurance at the right price, don't just go anywhere. Go Compare at gocompare.com.
Why go compare anywhere else?
Xbox 360, now from $129.99.
I can't believe my washing machine has broken down. It's so annoying. Now I can't wash my clothes. I have to wait for the repairman. And I'm late to pick up my kids.
When the engineer arrived, he said it was caused by limescale damage. He recommended Calgon to help prevent the limescale build-up. It dissolves a lot faster than some of the cheaper ones.
Unique Express Ball technology makes it the fastest dissolving tablet you can buy. This helps keep your washing machine working at its best.
Now, Calgon goes in every wash.